Hi folks, thanks for joining me for this extra tutorial with no fishing on the go. Well, I'm just filling my time with some extra fly tying sessions. So what you see in the vise is a cruncher-esque type fly, and I got the idea from a photograph I saw of Paul Kitchen's tie-ins. Now he was tying up a bunch of crunchers and he incorporated jungle cock into that, and it's something I rarely do, so I thought I'd give it a go with a little twist. So without further ado, let's get into it. The hook in the vise then is a Hanak H260 barbless hook. This one's at size 10, it's on a heavy wire and it's in black nickel. The thread I'm going to be using today, the label's gone, but take my word for it, this is not a uni thread, it's a UTC thread and it's at 70 denier, and as you can see it's a red thread. Now I'm going to be very careful with the management of my wax. I only want a very little bit on the last sort of 2 or 3 inches because I don't want the thread being all coloured up by the wax. So what I'm going to do is just catch on a very small rat's tail, a few millimetres back for the eye of the hook, and I'm going to run my thread down the length of the shank. I'm going to stop approximately where a barb would be on a barbed hook and then remove my rat's tail. Now for the tail fibres, for the tail of this fly, I'm going to be using this old cape that I've got here. I've picked a feather from the very top of the cape already, and as you can see it looks a little bit like coq de lion, but it's not, it's just a cheap cock cape. Coq de lion's quite expensive and you don't want to be using it for everything you do. So I'm going to just take about half a dozen fibres from the cape, and I want about the length of the shank. That looks about right, and then I can come over and trap that in. Now I want the shank to be completely covered with red thread. Now I don't know if you noticed on the original fly that I had in the vise there, it had a red sheen to it, and that's one of the reasons I'm using the red thread. Now the body material itself is it's white pearl ribbing fibres, but I'm going to use it as a body. So it's lovely stuff. It comes in different colours, but I'm using the clear because I want the red to shine through it. Now before I tie it in, I'm going to just use my nail to flatten out the end like so, and then I can come in with my thread, get a couple of turns, and then just capture that in. Now I want to build the slightest of tapers into the body, and this thread's ideal for that. It doesn't take long at all. A few turns and you've already built a significant little taper. So I've caught that in there, and what I want to do with this is really take my time so that I get touching turns. Sorry, I keep sliding down the thread onto the tailing fibres, and I don't want that really. I want it to splay out, but I don't want it to kick all over the place. So nice touching turns, just to get that thread base covered. Now if you wanted to change the effect of the fly, you could simply change the colour of your thread. Bright green works very well if you're looking for something a little different. Yellow is good, but on this occasion I'm just going to use red. And I've brought that all the way up, and I'm going to catch it in with my thread there, just to meet that. And then I can come in with my scissors and just remove that. This also makes great ribbon for dial backs. Great stuff, worth picking some up actually. Okay, I'm just going to tidy up the cut end there. And what I'm going to do now is, what Paul Kitchen did was he added jungle cock right at the end, so it came over the top of his hackle, which you can do, but I thought I'd be a little bit more subtle than that. So I've got myself a feather that I've picked near the side of the jungle cock cape. As you can see, this is getting a little bit sparse of the good feathers, as I would say, and I'm sure my salmon angler pals will be after the top feathers. So there's already a natural split in this. I haven't had to use my scissors, but often with the feathers on the jungle cock capes I buy, which aren't the best quality, you get big feathers, but you can just cut them to get what you're after. I'm going to keep the guard hairs on this one, and then I'm simply going to use the split to pull it down, and then I can catch that in like so. Just see how that's looking at your end. Yep, happy enough with that. Next, you can come in with your snips and just remove the waste. Now, a little tidy up at the front here. And I've just got a rogue fibre on my side. You probably can't see it, but I'm just going to remove it with my tweezers. So that's looking pretty good. I'm going to bring my thread back to where I want the base of my thorax. And what I'm using for the thorax material is, this is from Troutstalkers, and it's Thorax Orange. Now, a little tip here is, what I used to do is just take all my dubbins out of packets and put them in compartment boxes, but since starting to do the videos, I want to show people what I'm using. So if you get a plastic packet and you want to keep the card, just clip the corner off and you can take out your dubbin that you require just out of that corner. So I only need the tiniest amount, and I'm just going to dub that onto the thread. Now, if I was using a different colour thread, I may well consider a different colour thorax, but as this works really well with the red. So I'm going to come in and build my thorax. Bring it all back, and that's looking not too bad. And for the hackle, now you can put a ginger hackle on, but I thought it would look quite nice with a contrasting black hackle. So I've already picked a feather from the cape. It's a hen cape, and it's black, or it's dyed black, should I say. So I'm just going to catch in the tip with my hackle pliers and pull the fibres back like so. Now, for this section, I do like to get a little bit of wax just on at the thread where I'm going to catch that in. Now, with these feathers, you'll note that they bend a certain way. Now, I like my feathers to sweep back over the fly to give that teardrop effect. So try and tie it in with the bend towards the fly. So I'll just catch that in like so. I'm going to lift that tag end, get a couple of wraps in front, and then what I'm going to do is just adjust this in the vise. So when I'm hackling, I like to have the fly tilted slightly up so that my thread stays where it's supposed to stay. Then I can come in with my snips. Excuse my fingers, all I'm doing is attempting to remove the tag. It's taking me a wee while because I've not had enough coffee yet, but there we go. So I've got that in place and it's ready to be brought round now. That's long enough to use my fingers, but as always I like to use some Hackle pliers. I just think you get a bit more control with Hackle pliers. And then bring it up. As you bring it up, use your thumb and forefinger just to encourage the fibres to move backwards, and I'm looking for 2 turns here. And on the second turn I'm going to bring my thread up through the fibre in and across to capture that in. Now at this point I've still got tension on my thread. I'm going to remove my Hackle pliers and I'm going to grab everything and sweep it back. Then I'm going to start to build my head at the front here. I'm going to stop there and then I can grab this and it just pulls away, no problems at all. If you are feeling particularly tight, you could save this and use them fibres for tailing, but I'm feeling generous today, so that will go straight in the bin. Then simply a quick 3-turn whip finish to finish the fly off. Then you can come in with your snips and take away the thread. Then to finish off, a bit of head cement or some Solaris UV. I'm going to use the Solaris, or well, it doesn't have to be Solaris, it can be any UV resin, whatever you're happy to use. I like the Solaris. I find it does dry completely, whereas some of the other resins I've used in the past have not dried tack free, and that can be a bit of a nose when you've got a lot of fibres and materials hanging around your fly tying area. So I'll just cure that off. Unlike the other week there when I forgot to cure it, a few guys pointed that out and I appreciate the criticism. That's how you improve. And there you have a little cruncher-esque. Now it's very difficult to see the jungle cock on the camera, I would think, but I can see it quite well. And I haven't got a name for this. I'll probably call it the Kitch cruncher, where the inspiration for the fly came from. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you are keeping safe during this national lockdown, and I really hope we get out fishing again soon. Take care.